Jon Snow and Jamie Lannister appear in the Fellowship at the mouth of Moria, moments before entry. Everything that follows is grounded. The Fellowship reacts as people who have lived through war and myth, not prophecy. Let's begin. The west gate of Moria, moonlight stains the still lake. The Fellowship gathers around Gandalf as he puzzles over the elvish runes. Then the stillness shatters, air bending with a deep sound like stone grinding against stone. Two men appear, armor gleaming faintly, breath steaming in the cold air. One golden-haired and proud despite confusion, sword half-drawn. The other dark-haired, cloaked in black furs, his hand already on the hilt of Longclaw. Water ripples outward. The company startles, bows rise, blades whisper free. Aragorn?
Hold. They're not orcs.
Legolas.
They are not anything I know.
Jon moves first, steady voice cutting the tension. Jon Snow.
We mean no harm.
His eyes scan the Fellowship. Men, an elf, a dwarf, and something smaller than children. His breath catches. This isn't any land he knows. Jaime?
7 hells we're away.
Gandalf, staff held loosely but his gaze sharp, studies them. He feels the pulse of elsewhere in their presence, the tear in the pattern. Gandalf.
You are far from where your tale began. Tell me, how came you here?
Jon.
We don't know. One moment, there was a storm, now this.
Jaime dryly.
Wouldn't be the first time fate played a cruel joke.
The wizard's eyes narrow. Gandalf.
Fate has no human, sir. Only design.
The company watches uncertain. Gimli spits.
I like not the look of the Golden One. Too clean for battle. That one.
Jamie, I assure you, dwarf, I bleed as easily as you.
A flicker of respect or irritation passes through Gimli's beard. Into Moria. When Gandalf opens the door with the riddle of speak, friend, and enter, Jaime murmurs under his breath, clever trick. Jon studies the black waters. Something moves beneath and he stiffens. Instincts honed on the wall stirring. Then the Watcher strikes. Tendrils lash out, dragging Frodo. The company erupts in motion. Jon doesn't think. He dives forward, sword flashing, slicing into the grey flesh. Jaime is beside him, blade singing through wet air. They fight like men who've known siege and monsters of another kind. No hesitation, no glory, only efficiency. When the creature retreats and Gandalf seals the gate, the two strangers are panting in the dark corridor, lit by torchlight. Aragorn to Gandalf.
They fight well.
Aye, soldiers, though not of this world.
Moria's descent. They move through the black halls. Jon's torchlight catches vast columns vanishing into darkness. His breath slows. Jon quiet.
These halls, they were made by giants.
Gimli.
Dwarves, lad. My kin. Giants of stone and heart.
Jon nods, humbled. There's no wonder in him, only the quiet awe of a man who's seen the wall and now sees something older. Jaime walks further back, gaze moving across carvings of war and kingship.
Jamie, all this buried under dust, reminds me of thrones built for pride, lost to time.
Boromir glances at him, understanding too much. Two men born to power, both half at war with it. Boromir.
Pride can be strength if one remembers whom they serve.
Jaime flatly.
And when there's no one left worth serving.
Boromir has no answer. The echo of boots fills the gap. The tomb of Balin. They find the tomb. Gimli kneels, silent grief choking his words. Jon lowers his head. Loss needs no translation. Jaime remains still, staring at the runes carved deep in stone. Jaime.
Every kingdom ends the same way.
The scrape of drums begins, distant, slow, like the beating of a vast heart. Legolas.
They are coming.
Gandalf.
To the bridge, now.
Battle in the dark. Orcs pour through the shadows. Jon moves without thought, cutting, blocking, dragging Sam away from a spear. His face is calm, efficient, the soldier, not the hero. Jaime fights differently, precise, economical, his sword moving like an extension of thought. When silence returns, broken only by the drip of blood, Gandalf's head lifts. Something older stirs below. The air itself changes, heat pressing upward. Gandalf grim.
A Balrog, a demon of the ancient world.
Jon.
We fought things beyond a wall, but this...
His words fade. The roar comes like a furnace opening. Flame blooms.
They run. The bridge of Khazad-dûm, the Balrog emerges. Immense living fire bound in shadow. Jon slows, awe and terror washing through him. The sheer scale of it humbles even his memory of dragons.
Jon, horse. That's no creature. That's a god's wrath.
Jaime beside him watches Gandalf step forward. Jaime.
He means to face it.
Aragorn.
He must.
Then he'll die.
So be it.
The bridge narrows. Stone over endless dark. Gandalf stands firm, staff and sword raised. Jon grips his weapon but does not move. He knows instinctively this isn't a fight for men. The light blooms, the Balrog's whip coils, stone shatters. Gandalf's last words echo.
Fly, you fools.
The wizard falls, flame and shadow with him. Aftermath. Silence, only breathing and distant thunder. The Fellowship stands stunned. Jon kneels where Gandalf vanished, hand brushing the cracked stone. Jon.
He stood against it alone.
Aragorn.
He bought our time.
Jaime stares into the chasm. His face is unreadable.
He faced what he couldn't win, and still held the line. That I understand.
They move on, light dim, air heavy. No one speaks. But as they climb toward daylight, the two strangers walk at the rear, soldiers out of place, understanding the silence of men who've lost a leader. The camera lingers as they emerge from the mountains, white daylight burning away the last torch glow of Moria. Jon looks back once. The dark gate below is small now, just a hole in the stone, but the echo of it, drums, fire, courage, still thrums in his bones. Jaime breathes the cold air, staring into the sky. Jaime.
Different world. Same ghosts.
Jon nods.
Aye.
And they walk on. The Golden Wood. The Fellowship emerges from the shadow of the mountains. The air outside is pale, clean, and terribly still. For a long time no one speaks. The only sound is the wind across stone. Jon stares back once, the black throat of Moria shrinking behind them, a place already receding into nightmare. His face is pale, his eyes hollow. Jon quiet.
That smell, it's gone.
Legolas.
The stench of the deep places fades quickly under the sun.
Jaime glances at the elf, the fine features, the easy calm after so much death. It unsettles him. Jaime.
You came out of that fire without a scratch. Do elves not bleed?
Legolas calmly.
We do, but seldom for long.
Jaime gives a short, humorless laugh.
Useful trick.
The path winds downward into the woods. The light begins to change, not sunlight as men know it, but something diffused, gold and green, like morning trapped in glass. Entering Lothlorien, as they cross the stream and step into Lorien's border, sound itself seems to fade. The Fellowship slows, unconsciously lowering their voices. Jon feels it first. The way the world listens. Every footstep is heard, every breath marked. His hand drifts toward his sword, an instinct rather than threat, Jon whispering.
This forest watches us.
Aragorn.
Aye, the lady's eyes are keen.
Then they see them, tall shapes among the trees, bows drawn, hair like threads of starlight. Jaime stops dead. Not fear exactly, more disbelief. He's known beauty in the courts of King's Landing, but this isn't beauty in any human sense. The elves' faces are calm to the point of indifference, their gaze bright and measuring. They look through him, not at him. Jaime. They look carved, like they were never meant to move. Jon. They remind me of statues in the crypts, waiting. Legolas, without turning, they wait for no one. You walk now in their sight, and they judge quietly. The archers lower their weapons only when Haldir steps forward. Haldir?
You carry the grief of Maria with you, and strangers besides.
His elvish eyes settle on Jon and Jaime. Curiosity, but no warmth.
You are not of the race of men I know. What land gave you birth?
Jon.
Far from here. Too far to return.
Halder nods once, not understanding but accepting. The city in the trees. Night falls. Lanterns bloom in the branches above, each one a soft sphere of silver light. The Fellowship ascends the winding stairways of Caras Galadon. Jon looks up, dizzy at the height, disoriented by the quiet grace of it all. The wood smells alive. He touches the bark of a malon tree, feels it pulse faintly beneath his palm. Jon, lo!
It's alive.
Legolas!
All things are alive here. If you remember to listen.
Jaime, climbing behind, snorts softly.
If the trees start talking, I'm leaving.
Gimli, Gruff, you'll not get far. The lady sees all.
Jamie, so I'm told.
But the humour fades when they reach the high platform. The Lady of Light, Galadriel, stands waiting, her presence quiet but consuming. Light pools around her like water. Celeborn beside her speaks first, words of welcome, of mourning. When Galadriel's gaze falls on Jon, he feels the weight of it in his chest. It's not attraction, it's knowing, like she's seeing every betrayal, every death he's carried. Galadriel softly.
You have stood at the end of worlds, child of the North. Cold and duty cling to you.
Jon doesn't speak. His eyes are steady, wary. She turns to Jaime.
And you a man of beauty and blood. You carry guilt like armor.
And it fits as well as any I've worn.
For a heartbeat, her gaze softens, not pity, but recognition of something irredeemably human.
You do not belong to this song, but the thread of your presence has already woven into it.
Her eyes flicker toward Gandalf's absence.
Even the smallest echo may change the harmony.
Then she dismisses them with a gesture, and the air lightens, though the feeling of being seen does not fade. Later, by the water, they rest in the dim light beside a silver pool. Frodo sleeps. Gimli and Legolas murmur softly in the distance. Jaime sits alone, polishing his sword without focus. Jon joins him, quiet. Jon.
I thought I'd seen everything. The wall, the dead dragons, but this place.
He stops, searching for the word.
It feels wrong to speak too loud.
It feels like judgment.
Maybe it is.
You think them beautiful?
Aye, but not as we mean it.
I prefer things that bleed.
They sit in silence a while. The sound of the water is soft, steady, the only thing that feels mortal. The two men, small beside the silver stream, surrounded by light that never flickers, never warms. Above them, the Malorn leaves move in a wind that does not touch the ground. The voices of the elves are faint, half song, half memory. Jon tilts his head back, looking at the stars through branches of living gold. His face is unreadable, not awe, not peace, only thought.
If this is heaven, it's too quiet.
Jaime gives a small, crooked smile.
Then we'll fit right in.
The river. The boats drift south. Grey water laps against hulls carved by elven hands. The light on the river is soft, diffuse, the kind that makes sound carry and silence heavier. Jon sits in the second boat beside Sam and Frodo. Jaime rides behind with Aragorn. No one speaks for a long time. Paddles dip, water drips, birds wheel overhead, the rhythm of endurance. The men of two worlds. Aragorn studies Jaime from the stern, the set of his shoulders, the knight's posture that refuses to break even when rowing. Aragorn.
You hold yourself like a captain of Gondor.
Jamie, I've been called worse.
Yet not of Gondor. You wear no sigil, I know.
My house fell to fire and wolves. The banners burn quick enough.
Aragorn glances at him, weighing pride against grief.
Then you know what it is to lose a kingdom.
Jaime, dry.
I helped ruin mine.
A pause, then a faint smirk.
You.
I left mine behind.
They row in silence a while, two men who never asked for legend. In the Hobbit boat. In the next craft, Sam's voice breaks the quiet. Sam.
Never thought I'd meet men from another world. Must be strange, all this.
Jon.
Aye, but not so different from home. Still trees, still cold, still fear. Frodo.
Fear?
It follows us all, doesn't it?
Frodo looks down at the water, fingers brushing the small chain under his shirt.
Some more than others.
Jon catches the tone, doesn't pry.
Then you're braver than you look.
Sam grins a little.
That's the truth of him, sir. Braver than he looks, and quieter than he ought to be.
Jon gives a rare smile.
Sounds like my sister.
They share quiet laughter. Brief, natural, the kind that doesn't need explanation. At the campfire during the night, they pull ashore under the shadows of the Eamon Mule. A small fire burns low, more for morale than warmth. Gimli snores. Legolas sits apart, staring at stars. Aragorn sharpens his sword. Jaime and Jon share bread with the hobbits. Sam.
What's it like, your land?
Cold, hard, honest.
And full of fools with crowns.
Jon flatly.
You wore one?
No, I served one.
Aragorn looks up at that but says nothing.
You two seem different. Like you fought the same war but on opposite sides.
Maybe we did. In a way.
You don't sound like knights from the old stories.
That's because the old stories are lies told by men who lived.
A silence. The fire cracks. Jon watches the sparks rise, his voice low.
Maybe not all of them.
Something in the tone quiets even Jaime. For a moment only the river speaks. Later, away from the fire, Aragorn finds Jon standing alone by the bank, staring out across the water. Aragorn!
You've led men.
A few. Fewer still lived.
Then you understand what it costs.
More than most admit.
Aragorn nods, the unspoken weight shared.
When the time comes, stand by your heart, not your fear.
Hard advice to follow.
All true advice is.
Near the fire, Sam polishes pots, humming. Frodo dozes. Jaime sits sharpening his sword absent-mindedly. Sam.
Never seen steel like that. Shines like a mirror.
Lannister gold. Waste of it, really.
Seems fitting. Fine sword for a fine knight.
Jaime half-smile.
I was a fine knight once, before I learned what knights are for.
Sam frowns, unsure if it's a jest. Jaime catches his look, softens.
Keep your good heart, Samwise. Don't let men like me near it. Sam nods, awkward but sincere.
Reckon it's hearts like yours that need mending most.
Jaime stares into the fire, no reply. Later that night, a sound rolls across the hills. Distant, deep, like thunder without lightning. Legolas rises, hand on his bow.
The east stirs.
We move at first light.
Jon and Jaime exchange a look. Old instinct.
You can feel it, can't you?
Aye. Trouble travels faster than sleep.
Frodo curled beneath his cloak, the faint glint of a chain beneath his shirt. Sam keeping the fire low. Aragorn sitting guard, eyes never resting. Legolas watchful as a statue. Gimli snores, rumbling softly. Jon standing at the river's edge, staring south, where war waits unseen. Jaime beside him, armor dulled, hair silvered by moonlight. Two strangers among legends, neither heroes nor villains. Only men caught in another world's burden. Jon quiet.
You think we'll ever see home again?
If there's mercy in this world, no.
The breaking of the Fellowship. The banks of a Morn Hen, dusk approaching. The company drifts south until the current grows swift. The hills darken, the air smells of rain and smoke. Tension hums beneath every breath. Aragorn and Boromir speak apart, voices low. Frodo has withdrawn, haunted and distant. Jon watches quietly. Jaime leans against a tree, arms folded, gaze sharp as ever. Uneasy quiet.
They are unraveling.
Men do, when there's no clear road ahead.
Aye. Roads and kings. Both lead to ruin.
He tries to make it sound sardonic, but it doesn't land. Jon doesn't answer. He's watching Frodo vanish into the trees. The horn sounds. One long, desperate note that cuts through the forest. Everyone moves. Jon and Jaime reach the clearing last, just as Aragorn kneels beside Boromir, arrows through his chest. The warrior is trying to breathe, voice ragged. Orc corpses litter the grass.
I tried to take it from him, the little one. Forgive me.
Aragorn, softly.
You fought bravely. You kept your honor at the end.
Our people, our city. The rest fails on his breath. His eyes fade.
A long silence. Wind moves through the trees. Jon kneels, closing Boromir's eyes with rough fingers. Jon.
He died as men should, standing.
Jaime looks down at the body, at the scattered leaves, the broken horn.
He wanted to protect them, even after he lost himself.
He hesitates, then adds, low.
That's something.
Aragorn rises, the weight of command settling on him.
The Fellowship is broken.
Then gather what's left.
I will. You should not have to bear this war.
No one should, but someone always does.
They share a look, grim understanding between two men who have both carried oaths they never asked for. By nightfall, Frodo and Sam are gone. Legolas and Gimli stand silent. The river murmurs below, cold and endless. The Fellowship, once bound by purpose, now fragments into quiet groups. Jaime sits apart, sharpening his sword though there's nothing left to fight. Jon approaches, drops a hand to his shoulder.
You did what you could.
So did he.
Nodding toward Boromir's body.
Doesn't make it easier.
No, it never does.
As dawn creeps over the river, the air shifts. Subtle, like the moment before waking. The world bends, faint and silver. Gandalf's absence feels heavier. The sky itself trembles with a quiet hum. Jaime looks up sharply.
You feel that?
Aye.
The ground beneath their boots glows faintly, a pulse of cold light. Aragorn turns, startled, and then they're gone. No flare, no sound, just absence. King's Landing, the Red Keep. They stand again beneath a grey sky. The air smells of sea salt and ash. Bells toll in the distance. The change hits like cold water. Heat, noise, the crush of a city that never learned silence. Jaime blinks, disoriented.
Gods, it's the same hour we left.
Jon looks down at his hands. Scarred, still faintly trembling, he touches the hilt of Longclaw, as if expecting it to fade.
Was it real?
I can still smell the river. The fire. He exhales, sharp. Real enough.
They stand on the battlements a long while, saying nothing. Below them the city moves. Petty, alive, unchanged.
All that death, and it meant something there.
Here it means power.
And there?
Honor. Maybe. Strange word, isn't it? Easier to die for than to live with.
Jon looks east where dawn breaks pale over the Blackwater.
They'll keep fighting. Men like them always do.
And men like us?
We remember.
The camera pulls back, two figures on a wall, wind stirring their cloaks, faces caught between worlds. The sound of waves below, distant and steady, echo of the Anduin or the memory of it. The Red Keep, the small council chamber. The morning light filters through the high windows, cold and dusted with gold. Cersi Lannister sits upon the raised chair, the air around her sharp with wine and incense. Her eyes, green, calculating, rest on Jaime and Jon Snow, who stand before her in worn, travel-stained cloaks. Their armor is dulled, their faces leaner, marked with something older than battle.
You vanish for weeks while war brews on every border. And when you return, no banners, no escort. Just the bastard of Winterfell and my brother.
Her gaze flicks between them, cold curiosity beneath her anger.
So tell me, what noble errand did honor call you to this time?
Jaime stands straight, but there's a weariness beneath his poise.
We were taken, not by choice.
By whom?
Not by whom, by where.
Cersi laughs softly, dangerous.
You expect me to believe you were spirited away. To where, dear brother? Some frozen hall of gods and fables.
Jon's voice cuts in, low, steady.
Stone halls beneath a mountain, older than any keep in Westeros. A realm where fire walks and shadows speak.
The Queen stares, her expression shifting only slightly. Amusement edged with suspicion.
You've gone mad, both of you. Have the North's ghosts taken your wits?
Jon meets her gaze evenly.
If ghosts they were, they bled when cut.
The room stills, even the guards shift uneasily. Jaime finally speaks again, tone sharp but controlled.
You asked where I was, sister. I was in a place where kings mean nothing, where men die for strangers, and names hold no weight.
Cersi coldly.
Then perhaps you should have stayed there.
A pause. Jaime doesn't look away.
Perhaps.
That lands heavier than she expects. She searches his face for mockery, finds none. The chamber door shudders. A faint rumble rolls through the stone beneath their feet, deep, resonant, like the echo of thunder heard through the earth itself. Cersi rises, irritated.
What now?
Jon turns first, his hand instinctively going to Longclaw. Jaime follows his gaze. The air bends, faint white light spilling through the open doorway, colourless and alive. The guards draw steel, but the light only grows, pure and soundless. From within it, a figure steps forward, tall, robed in white, staff in hand, hair silver as frost, eyes like stormlight. Gandalf the White. He surveys the room, the throne, the soldiers, the queen, and the two men before her. His presence fills the air like pressure before a storm.
The walls between worlds grow thin. You two walked paths never meant for men of your realm, and you have been seen.
Cersi's voice catches, disbelief battling fury.
Who are you to enter my hall unbidden?
Gandalf's gaze turns on her in calm, immovable.
A herald of what comes when pride blinds wisdom. You'll find no comfort in your power, Queen of Lions.
The torches gutter. For an instant, the chamber feels impossibly vast. Whispers of wind, echoes of mountain halls, the roar of something far beneath the world. Gandalf turns to Jon and Jamie.
Your time here is not yet done. The memory of where you've walked will serve you when shadow stirs in this land.
He raises his staff. The light rises, blinding, clean. When it fades, he is gone. Only the scent of ash and storm remains. Cersi sinks slowly back into her chair, shaken but unbroken.
What in seven hells was that?
Jaime answers quietly.
Not hell. Something higher.
Jon meets her gaze one last time.
Jon, you wanted truth. That was truth.
Mandeep storyteller style, they turn and leave, the echo of their boots fading down the corridor. Two men marked by another world, walking back into a kingdom that can never understand what they've seen. Wind over the Blackwater. A white moat drifts through the air, faint, flickering, like the echo of a wizard's light. The Queen's private solar, the Red Keep. Night falls heavy over King's Landing. The city below burns with lanterns and murmurs. The smell of sea salt seeps through the high stone windows. Inside, the Queen's chamber is lit by firelight. Deep red, gold reflections upon marble. Cersi Lannister sits beside the hearth, a goblet of wine in hand, dressed not for court, but in dark velvet. Her eyes, sharp as glass, track the two men standing before her. Jaime and Jon Snow, returned from weeks unaccounted for. No guards, no council, just them.
Cersi, you vanish without a word, both of you. My brother, the Lord Commander of my guards, and the bastard wolf from the north. And you return together, reeking of smoke and foreign soil.
She leans forward slightly, wine swirling in her hand.
So tell me, before I decide which of you to hang for treason, where were you?
Silence. The flames pop in the hearth. Jaime answers first, voice level, expression unreadable.
Far from here.
Cersi dryly.
You've a poet's gift for detail, brother.
Jon steps forward.
We were taken, beyond anything you'd believe.
Cersi arches a brow, a half smile touching her lips.
Try me. I've seen the dead walk and dragons breathe fire. What could you possibly add to that?
Jon and Jaime exchange a glance, the kind shared between men who've survived something others could never name. Jaime's jaw tightens.
Stone halls, deep as the roots of the world. A city of dwarfs. We walked beside elves and a wizard who called himself Gandalf.
Elves?
Aye. They glowed. Beautiful, too beautiful. You'd have hated them.
Jon's voice is quieter, more reverent.
We saw Firewalk as a creature, a demon of the deep. It killed the wizard before our eyes, and yet he returned, greater than before.
Cersi's laughter cuts the air, brittle, mirthless.
You expect me to believe this? That my brother spent his absence wandering through fairy tales and ghosts?
Believe what you like, but I held the line against that fire, and Jon saved my life. I saw men die for a cause not their own. That's no tale.
Cersi studies him. For the first time, the jest dies in her eyes.
You sound like father. Weary. Haunted. He saw battlefields, you see dreams.
Dreams don't scar. He pulls aside his tunic slightly.
A long burn marks his side, raw and half-healed.
The fire of a bullrog, they called it. One swing near took me in half.
The Queen's breath stills. She looks at Jon.
And you, Wolf? You saw this too?
I saw men smaller than I carry courage, greater than any king. They stood before darkness that would unmake the world, and they did not yield.
Cersi regards him, unblinking.
And what does that teach you, Snow? To fight harder for your ghosts? Or that death follows wherever you lead?
Jon's voice stays even.
That honor has a cost, and some worlds still remember how to pay it.
Cersi's lip curls slightly, not in scorn, but in discomfort. The silence stretches. She rises, moves slowly toward them, wine forgotten. The flicker of firelight paints her face in moving gold.
You both speak like men who've seen gods. But I see two soldiers scarred, tired, and more dangerous than before. If this place truly exists, it changed you.
Maybe it showed what was already there.
She stops before him, close enough for her voice to drop low.
Then tell me, brother, did it make you loyal again?
It made me honest.
Her eyes flash. Pain or fury, it's hard to tell. She turns to Jon.
And you, northern bastard, do you bring their ghosts into my hall?
No, but something follows.
Cersi frowns.
What do you mean?
The air changes, the fire dims, the shadows bend. A white radiance gathers in the corner of the chamber, soft but deep, spilling across the floor like dawn light on water. Cersi steps back, startled. The light shapes itself, tall, robed, a staff in hand. Gandalf the White stands before them. No one speaks, only the low hum of something vast and knowing.
You have heard their truth, Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. There are fires older than your throne, and wars that cast longer shadows.
Cersi stares, breath caught between awe and fear.
Who? What?
I am no threat to your crown, only to your blindness.
He looks to Jon and Jaime.
You walked in darkness and returned with sight. Guard it well. This world will need it.
The Queen finds her voice again, brittle but bold.
You dare step into my chambers unbidden. Do you think I fear your tricks?
Gandalf regards her with quiet pity.
No, you fear nothing, and that will be your ruin.
A faint wind stirs, impossible within the closed room. The torches flare, then dim, and just as silently as he came, the wizard is gone, leaving behind only the whisper of embers and the stunned silence of 3 souls. Cersi exhales, trembling slightly, though she hides it behind another sip of wine.
You'll both say nothing of this. Not to the council. Not to the people.
They wouldn't believe it.
Good. Then, let's keep it that way.
She looks at Jon, measuring him anew.
And you, Snow, whatever gods you serve, keep them north of my walls.
Jon inclines his head.
So long as they let your world stand.
They turn to leave. As the door closes behind them, Cersi stands alone, wine forgotten. For the first time in years, she feels small beneath her own ceiling, as if the world has grown larger than even her power can contain. The fire pops. For a heartbeat, the light flares white, then fades to red. Seen the Queen beyond the mirror, moments after Gandalf vanishes. Cersi stands alone in her solar, breath shallow, heart pounding behind the facade of poise. The firelight flickers oddly, no longer red but silver. She blinks, and the walls begin to shimmer. The floor tilts, the scent of sea air is replaced by the cool sweetness of water and pine. The world folds. She stumbles, catching herself, no longer in stone halls, but upon a smooth, pale terrace that seems carved from moonlight. Around her, trees rise impossibly high, their leaves whispering with faint luminescence. A breeze carries the sound of distant singing, soft, mournful, eternal. Cersi turns slowly, eyes wide, mouth tightening in disbelief. Cersi softly.
Where?
Before her stands Galadriel, robed in white and silver, light spilling from her as though the sun itself had chosen her form.
Galadriel, you stand in Lothlorien, daughter of stone and fire. Few of your kind have walked here, none by their own will.
Cersi straightens, the instinctive regality returning even through shock.
You presume to summon a queen without consent? You summoned yourself. Truth answered.
Cersi's defiance flickers between awe and disdain as she takes in the elven lady, the poise, the stillness that isn't mortal. Around them, faint motes of light drift like memory.
So this is what your kind calls wisdom. An illusion in the woods, dressed in gold.
Galadriel quietly.
Your words are armor, forged to hide your fear. Tell me, Queen of Men, when the fire came to your city, what did you say first? Your children or your throne?
Cersi's breath hitches, a flash of anger, sharp, defensive.
You know nothing of my world.
Your world burns because its rulers mistake power for purpose. You drink pride like wine and call it strength, yet tremble before what you cannot master.
Cersi's voice lowers, cold as steel.
And what do you know of mastery? You who hide in trees while men die building kingdoms.
Galadriel steps closer, and the world around them deepens. The silver grows brighter, but gentler.
We do not hide. We endure. We hold what light remains while your kind forgets what it is to see.
Cersi looks around, at the light, the trees, the harmony she cannot grasp. And for a heartbeat, there's a crack in her mask, a flicker of something not submission, but realization, the measure of her own smallness before something that does not need crowns. Cersi softly.
It's beautiful.
Yes. And dying.
Cersi's gaze meets hers, suspicion and sadness intertwining.
Even here, you speak of decay.
All power fades. Even light must pass. You cannot rule what you do not revere.
Galadriel gestures, and from the air itself forms a basin of water, still glass-like, shimmering with faint gold.
Look.
Cersi hesitates, then leans forward. In the water, visions swirl, the Red Keep in flames, the city in chaos, 1,000 faces of those she's scorned or crushed. But interwoven through them, faint, radiant, are glimpses of other things. Frodo's face, weary but steadfast. Aragorn's eyes filled with duty, not desire. Sam's tears, the Fellowship's courage without reward.
They fought not for crowns. Not for fear. Would you still call them weak?
Cersi stares, lips parting, breath uneven.
They are fools. But?
She swallows, eyes flicking up to Galadriel.
Fools with purpose.
Galadriel inclines her head slightly, a small, sorrowful smile.
Even a fool may shame a queen.
The basin's glow fades. Cersi looks up. The forest seems darker now, more real. The beauty is still there, but it no longer blinds.
Why show me this?
Because pride cannot endure in ignorance. And because your world will one day stand before its own shadow as we did.
The air shifts. The song fades into silence. Cersi's breath steadies, the terrace dims.
You think I'll change because of this? That I'll bow to your light?
No. But you will remember.
The light folds again, soundless, soft. Cersi stands once more in her solar. The fire burns low, the goblet of wine has gone cold in her hand. Outside, bells toll faintly. She sets the cup down slowly, her eyes distant. Not softer, but altered. She looks toward the window, where the sea wind moves the curtains. And for an instant, she imagines she hears faint singing on it. Cersi quietly.
Even light must pass.
A pause, then she straightens, mask restored, regal once more.
But not tonight.
She turns back to the fire. The flame flickers, red, but in its heart, a thread of silver glows before fading into dark. The chamber fades around her, torchlight stretching, stone melting into darkness. Cersi blinks, the air itself changes weight. The scent of wine and smoke vanishes, replaced by pine clean air and the faint echo of music so distant it might be memory. When she turns, Galadriel stands behind her. Her presence is not blinding but immense, light contained, not spilling, as though every atom around her obeyed her will.
You wish to understand, Queen of the West? Then look.
Before Cersi can answer, the ground falls away. They stand now upon the mirror of time, an endless plain of water beneath a dark vault of stars. Galadriel raises her hand, and the surface ripples into vision, the First Age. Vast fields of flame, great towers of iron piercing black skies, Morgoth rising in his primeval wrath, the first tyrant, whose will twisted the world itself. Cersi flinches as the sound hits her, not noise but pressure. Galadriel's voice echoing through ages.
Before your ancestors drew breath, the world bled for the pride of one who would rule all. We fought him until the sea swallowed mountains. I walked among those who defied him and watched them burn.
Visions flicker faster now. Elf kings dying in fire, ships aflame upon the western sea, the theft of the Silmarils, the ruin of Beleriand. Cersi turns her face away, eyes tight.
Enough?
You asked what power means. This is power unbridled without conscience, without end.
The scene shifts. The rise of Númenor, its glory, and its fall beneath the waves. Cersi watches cities drown. She gasps despite herself.
Even the proudest among us bowed too late. I survived not unscarred, but unbroken.
Galadriel younger now, radiant, fierce, walking through the ruins of Dol Guldur, battling shadows that wear the shape of thought and corruption. Cersi sees her wield light as a weapon. Cersi softly.
You're not just a woman. I was once. And still am. Do you think power comes without sacrifice? I have buried empires, lovers, children unborn. You killed to keep your throne. I killed to keep the world.
The words hang, not accusatory, not proud, simply true. Cersi's jaw tightens.
Then you and I are not so different.
No. But we remember different things.
The visions shift again. Middle-earth's wars unfurling, the forging of the rings, the fall of Sauron, Saruman's betrayal, the fires of Isengard, and at last, a small trembling hobbit climbing a mountain alone.
All the ages of this world, and still it ends with the courage of the smallest hand. Your world will face its own shadow, and you who crave dominion will not understand it until it is too late.
Cersi stares, transfixed, horrified not by the fire, but by the scale, by the age of it all, the endlessness of struggle, the futility of crown and bloodline against the weight of time. Cersi quietly.
So much death. And yet you call this wisdom. Wisdom is what remains when grief has burned away everything else.
Cersi's voice breaks, just barely.
You think I don't know loss? I've buried children. I've ruled a kingdom that hates me for breathing. Don't mistake pride for blindness.
Galadriel studies her, not as an enemy, but as something painfully familiar. Cersi steps forward, fire in her eyes again.
Cruelty is armor. Without it, the world devours you.
No. It devours you because of it.
They face each other, mirrored queens, one mortal and burning, one eternal and fading. For the first time, Cersi looks almost small. Not weak, but finite. The visions fade. They stand again amid the silver forest of Lothlorien, the great trees breathing with light. Cersi's face is pale, her eyes distant.
Your world is dying, you said.
Yes. All worlds do. But not all fade in ignorance.
And you would have me what? Change?
No. Only no. When your world burns, and it will, perhaps then you will choose to build, not conquer.
Cersi is silent. She looks toward the horizon, pale gold breaking through the canopy. Cersi quietly.
I used to dream of peace. Once. Before the war taught me that peace belongs only to the dead.
Then dream again. Even the dead return, sometimes.
The lady's voice softens, almost kind.
Go back, Cersi of the Iron Throne. Carry what you have seen. Even if you deny it, it will not deny you.
The silver light folds inward, trees and stars dimming into shadow. Cersi closes her eyes, then opens them upon the red keep once more. The fire burns low. The air smells of salt and dust again. The goblet of wine sits untouched beside her. She exhales slowly and no tears, no collapse, only a long measured stillness. Then she speaks, to no one.
She thinks me small. But she forgets even small things can poison kings.
Yet as she turns toward the window, her expression softens, almost imperceptibly. The city stretches below her, imperfect, fragile, alive, Cersi murmuring.
The smallest hand.
She shakes her head, the thought half lost, half remembered, and raises her wine again. But when she drinks, her hand trembles once. Outside, a faint shimmer moves along the horizon, silver light fading into dawn. The small council chamber was empty save for 3 candles. The windows had been shuttered, the torches dim. Cersi sat at the long table, her fingers resting on the stem of a goblet she hadn't touched. She'd sent for Jaime and Jon Snow herself, not through servants, no fanfare. When they entered, the doors closed without sound. The guards dismissed with a gesture. Jaime bowed half-heartedly. Jon simply stood, hands clasped behind his back, still as a watchman before a storm.
You were gone. Both of you. Gone from the world. When my armies bled, when the realm whispered my name like a curse, my brother and the bastard of Winterfell vanish into thin air.
Her voice was calm, almost measured, the tone of someone who has seen too much to rage anymore.
We didn't vanish, sister. We were taken.
She glanced up, studying him. Taken, she repeated.
By what?
Jon met her eyes. There was no jest in his expression.
By another world, Your Grace. One older than any I've seen or dreamt. A land of elves, dwarves, and men who walk with honor, unbroken. We stood in their minds, beneath mountains that hum with the bones of gods. We saw a fire that thought and feared.
Cersi's hand tightened slightly on the goblet.
You expect me to believe a story of songs and shadows?
It wasn't song. It was stone. You can't imagine how small we felt, standing there. Even I who've seen dragons. Even him.
He nodded toward Jon. Jon's eyes had that far-off distance of someone still half elsewhere.
They called it Moria. The dwarves built it. Their greed woke something ancient to shadow of fire. A bold rogue, Gandalf faced it. He fell.
Cersi frowned, impatient but curious despite herself.
And who is this Gandalf?
A wizard. Old, though not cruel. When he fell, I felt the world itself mourn him. He returned later in white.
That word hung in the room. White. It struck her like an echo of something unspoken. Jaime looked to his sister. You asked what became of Boromir? He said softly. He died saving 2 children half his height. I've seen men die for less. Cersi's eyes flicked toward him, cold but uncertain.
You sound almost moved.
Maybe I was.
Cersi turned to Jon.
You claim to have met their lady. The one they call Galadriel.
Jon nodded once.
She saw through me, as though she knew every lie before I spoke it. Her eyes he hesitated, searching for words. They were old, not like age, like time itself looking back.
Cersi's breath slowed.
I saw her too.
Both men froze. Jaime's voice softened. You...
She showed me her world. Its history. Its ruin. I saw ages burn to ash, oceans swallow kingdoms, and true power fade like smoke. She wanted me to understand what my hunger makes me blind to.
Jon watched her in silence. His voice, when it came, was low.
And did you?
Cersi looked at him long, and something almost human stirred in her expression.
I understood enough to know that she pities me. But pity isn't strength. and I will not be ruled by another woman's regret.
There was no malice in her word, only resolve. Galadriel's memory flickered in her eyes, not vanquished, but buried. Cersi to Jon.
You spoke of a halfling. Frodo.
A small one, but brave, carried a ring of power, though it nearly broke him.
Cersi's tone darkened.
Power. Always power. Even there, they forged symbols to enslave each other. Perhaps all worlds share that flaw.
Maybe, but he carried it so no one else would.
That gave her pause. For a heartbeat, the chamber was utterly still. Jaime broke it softly.
We've seen 1,000 kings and queens who'd kill for that ring. He nearly died to destroy it.
Cersi's gaze slid toward the window, toward the dawn creeping over King's Landing. Her reflection in the glass looked older, thinner, less certain.
A fool, then. The world remembers the ones who keep their crowns, not those who cast them aside.
Jon's answer came without bitterness.
Maybe your world does.
The air in the chamber shifted. The candles flickered. A faint whisper of wind curled through the stone, though no window was open. Jaime's hand went to his sword. Jon tensed. From the corner of the room, the shadow deepened, a white light seeping through the darkness like dawn breaking through fog. The figure stepped forward, Gandalf the White. Not radiant, not divine, but present. The way mountains are present. Immovable, inevitable.
The world is thinner than you think, my friends. Sometimes the veil frays where pride meets truth.
Cersi rose not in fear, but in fury, restrained by awe.
You? Why have you come here?
To see what became of those who crossed the bridge between fires. He looked to Jon and Jane. You carry pieces of that light still. Guard them.
Then his eyes fell on Cersi, to kind, sorrowful, relentless.
And you, Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, may the memory of what you saw outlast your power to ignore it.
The wind rose, light bending around him. Then he was gone. Only the scent of pine remained, faint, fading. Cersi sat back slowly. Neither man spoke. At last, she said quietly, almost to herself.
He thinks me small.
Jaime glanced toward her.
You said that before.
She nodded once, faintly.
Perhaps I am. But even the small can poison kings.
She stood, gathering her composure like armor.
You may go.
They bowed. Jon's more respectful, Jaime's more tired. As the doors closed, she looked once more toward the rising light beyond the shutters. It was pale and distant, but it lingered. She turned away before it could touch her face. Rivendell, the last homely house. Afternoon light spills silver through the high windows, illuminating terraces and waterfalls below. Cersi and Daenerys appear, not through ceremony, not through choice, but drawn abruptly from their respective thrones. One moment in the Red Keep, the next, standing on a marble terrace overlooking Elrond's gardens. Both women are tense, aware of each other, aware of the new world. Cersi hissing under her breath.
What trick is this? Where?
Daenerys' eyes are wide but calculating, fire dimmed only slightly by uncertainty.
Daenerys, this is not Dragonstone, nor King's Landing.
The wind carries a faint music of water and leaves. Birds circle overhead, larger and brighter than any known to Westeros. They glance at each other warily, rivals by habit but united in confusion. 1. First contact with Rivendell. Elrond appears on the terrace, calm, ageless, the weight of centuries in his eyes.
You are not of this world. Yet the world has drawn you here. I am Elrond of Rivendell. Speak your names and your intent.
Cersi straightens immediately, regal even in shock.
I am Cersi Lannister, Queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
Daenerys' voice rings, confident and melodic.
Daenerys Stormborn, of House Targaryen, rightful Queen of Westeros.
Elrond inclines his head slightly.
Two queens drawn across space and time. I have not seen this in the memory of Rivendell. Yet you are here and must answer for your passage.
Cersi bristles.
Answer. I demand to know why I am here.
Daenerys mirrors her posture, authority meeting authority.
We are not here to harm, but neither will we be cowed.
The two queens take in Rivendell, terraces of white marble, waterfalls tumbling into pools below, the air shimmering with soft golden light. Elves move quietly through the gardens, figures both beautiful and otherworldly, observing silently. Cersei's reaction is complex, awe and suspicion in equal measure. Cersi muttering.
All this beauty, and yet it belongs to no one. No throne, no crown.
Daenerys watches silently, hand near her hip, measuring the environment like a general surveying a battlefield.
It is strong, peaceful. A kingdom built without war, yet every step measured.
Elrond regards them both with patience.
You stand before a realm older than your kingdoms, shaped by choices beyond kings and queens. Here, ambition is measured differently.
Cersei's eyes flash with irritation.
Do not lecture me. Ambition is what keeps kingdoms alive.
Daenerys' gaze narrows at Cersi, almost instinctively defensive.
Without it, kingdoms crumble. But here, ambition is tempered by something else. By foresight, patience, and age.
Elrond's eyes soften slightly, sensing their curiosity.
You have crossed here, and you seek understanding of another's path. The halfling you speak of, Frodo, carries a burden that will decide the fate of this world.
Cersei's face hardens.
A child bears the weight of the world, while we are summoned for our failures.
Or perhaps to witness the consequences of power.
Both truths are present. You have seen fire in your lands. Here, fire walks differently. Courage and restraint matter more than bloodline or claim. The smallest hand can tip the scales where the mightiest falter.
Cersei's gaze shifts, uneasy but calculating.
And the halfling is heeding this lesson while kings and queens squabble.
He carries what he must. And you, now you witness it as it is, a world not shaped by fear, but by choices.
Cersei's eyes flick to Daenerys.
So we are both here. Witnesses to something we cannot conquer.
Daenerys' expression is unreadable.
We are not here to conquer. We are here to see. And perhaps to learn.
Cersei smiles faintly, cold and sharp.
Learning is not the same as power. And I do not yield to lessons.
Elrond watches silently, letting their words hang.
Then learn you shall, in ways your minds cannot yet grasp. Your time here may be brief, but what you see cannot be unseen.
The sun lowers over the valley. Silver and gold light streak the trees. The elves observe silently. The air carries the faint music of some unseen river, like memory itself flowing. Cersi and Daenerys exchange a glance, wary, reflective. Both queens understand their stakes have shifted, the scale of the world, and the presence of powers older than any crown. Neither yields, but both are unsettled. Cersi quietly under her breath.
This world, it humbles the strongest.
And tempers the fiercest.
Elrond nods slightly, almost imperceptibly, as if acknowledging the truth of both statements.
Elrond, you will see more, soon. And then you will understand the choices that bind this world.
Two queens of Westeros, dwarfed by Rivendell's grandeur, facing the weight of a history far older and stranger than any crown could hold. Rivendell, the early days. Cersi and Daenerys stand on a terrace above the waterfalls, the valley below shimmering with silver light. They have not been sent back. Instead, Elrond has placed them into a living simulation of choice and consequence, meant to prepare them for the dangers looming in Middle-earth. Gandalf appears sometimes, stepping out of shadowed corridors or across terraces, never forcing action, but guiding subtly, watching their choices. Elrond approaches, calm but grave.
You are not here to rule, nor to conquer. You are here to endure. To make choices that will shape lives beyond your own. Every decision has consequence. Every hesitation carries weight. You must work together, not as rivals, but as guardians of survival.
Cersi crosses her arms, jaw tight.
Work together. I have never needed to trust anyone but myself.
Nor have I. But here, there is no throne to sit on, no armies to command. You will learn, or die.
Elrond leads them to a long, narrow stone bridge suspended over a deep chasm. Beyond it, the path splits into three. A path littered with corpses of men, leading through dark forests where shadows move like living things. A sunlit plain where distant hills smoke with fire. A visible threat they cannot reach immediately. A cave entrance, black as pitch, from which faint whispers rise.
You must choose. Each path has its price. One will bring suffering, another delay, another death. Choose wisely, and together.
Cersi immediately surveys the terrain. Cersi, low, analytical.
The plan is tempting. We can strike fast, see the enemy, plan. But it will cost lives.
The shadows in the forest could destroy us before we understand them. The cave might hold answers, but the whispers are unnatural. We can't ignore them.
Then we must split. One path to test, one to guard. Or we risk both of us dying together.
I don't trust splitting. If we are separated, neither of us survives.
They argue, tension crackling in the thin Rivendell air. Both are leaders, accustomed to command. But here authority is shared. Gandalf appears silently leaning on his staff.
Do not rush. Observe. Listen. Only then will the right choice reveal itself. But know this hesitation has its own price.
Cersi and Daenerys glance at each other. Silent acknowledgement of the truth. Later, they descend to the gardens and encounter Éowyn, standing with a bow across her shoulder, observing them cautiously.
You are not of this land, yet the power in your presence. It hums like storm in the north. Are you here to fight or to destroy?
Cersi's eyes flicker, sharp, assessing.
I am here to survive. To understand the rules of this place.
Daenerys steps slightly forward, fire tempered in her tone.
And to choose the path that does not merely preserve ourselves, but those who cannot defend themselves.
Éowyn studies them, clearly intrigued by this tension.
Queens, yet neither of you bows to kings. Perhaps that is why you survived the journey here.
Cersi laughs softly, dryly.
Bow? No. I bow to nothing.
Nor I. But perhaps here, we must bend, if only to survive.
Éowyn nods, a faint smile on her lips, seeing the spark of growth and friction between them. Over the following days, Rivendell becomes their crucible. A mountain ambush requires Cersi and Daenerys to coordinate strategy against invisible foes. Cersi's cunning and tactical foresight contrasts with Daenerys' instinctual decisiveness and boldness. Lives are lost due to delayed choices, both queens are shaken. Moral dilemmas force them to weigh their desires against the consequences. Do they save a wounded elf from an ambush, risking the mission? Or leave him to preserve the larger goal? Cersi wants to leave him, pragmatism honed by decades of political survival. Daenerys insists on risking everything for one life, drawing Cersi into moral compromise. Gandalf's subtle guidance reminds them of stakes larger than themselves. A world is not saved by fire or steel alone. Wisdom tempers courage, and courage tempers wisdom. Cersi grows aware that her habitual control cannot command this world. She learns to listen, to weigh consequences beyond immediate political gain. Daenerys recognizes the cold efficiency and ruthlessness of Cersi as a form of survival skill she cannot ignore, even when it conflicts with her moral compass. Both queens are forced to reconcile their personal pride with the immediate need to act decisively. Their dynamic becomes tense, electric. Mutual respect develops reluctantly, but is tinged with suspicion. Trust is provisional, fragile, and forged only through shared trauma. Éowyn and Elrond observe quietly, noting not only their raw potential, but the subtle cracks in their personas, where vulnerability, fear, and mortality surface. Éowyn, whispering to Elrond, they are strong. Perhaps too strong to bend completely, yet they will bend enough to survive. I wonder what fire and ambition will teach them here, and what they will leave behind in our world. They have faced the terrifying scale of Middle-earth, including glimpses of shadow and fire reminiscent of Balrog encounters, only now compounded by decisions affecting lives beyond their own. Their moral and emotional boundaries are tested. Every choice has weight, every hesitation brings trauma. They begin to rely on guidance, but selectively, learning to balance instinct with counsel. The stage is set. Cersi and Daenerys are no longer merely queens of Westeros. They are actors in a world where consequences cannot be ignored, and where survival requires not just power, but empathy, courage, and cooperation. The air smelled of damp stone and ancient wood. Mist clung to the trees like a living thing, twisting around gnarled trunks and roots. Cersi Lannister adjusted the cloak around her shoulders, the fine fabric of Westeros useless here, damp and heavy. She kept her gaze forward, but the tension in her jaw betrayed her unease. Daenerys walked a few paces beside her, silent at first, letting the sound of the forest fill the space between them. Only the occasional rustle of leaves or distant bird calls disturbed the quiet, but every sound felt magnified, strange, alive. Cersi finally spoke, her voice low, sharp.
This place. Even the air feels like it could crush you. How do you survive here without armies?
Daenerys didn't answer immediately. Her eyes followed a bird with silver feathers flitting through the canopy.
You adapt, you watch, you listen, and you move before the danger finds you. You can't rule it. You endure it.
Cersi snorted.
Endurance is only useful when you know the rules. Here, I don't even know what the rules are.
Neither do I. This is a different kind of threat. Not walls or swords. Everything is older than anything I've ever faced.
Cersi's thoughts drifted involuntarily back to her previous conversations with Jaime and Jon and the shadow of Galadriel's vision. She had been forced to reckon with her pride, her cruelty, and her illusions of control. That awareness pressed against her now, sharper because of the world around her.
I should have listened more to them,
Cersi murmured almost to herself.
Jamie, Jon, even that dream of hers, Galadriel. Everything I thought was power was smaller than I realized.
Daenerys glanced at her, curiosity flickering behind her cautious expression.
You mean the elf?
Cersi gave a bitter, humorless laugh.
How and everything she represents. Time, loss, consequence, the weight of being more than yourself. And I still cling to the crown like it makes me strong.
Daenerys' gaze softened, though only slightly.
Strength comes in many forms. Not all of them are visible to the world you came from. Here, strength is patience. Listening. Acting when it hurts most.
Cersi studied her, trying to decipher whether this was wisdom or pride cloaked in gentleness. You speak as if you understand already, but you are just as lost as I am. Don't pretend otherwise. Maybe I am, Daenerys admitted, but I don't pretend to control what I cannot. A tense silence stretched between them as they walked along the narrow path carved into a cliffside. Mist hung thick over the forest floor, and somewhere deep in the valley below, the faint roar of a river echoed like distant drums. The world was vast and indifferent, older than any crown, older than any claim. Cersi swallowed, her pride pricking at the edges of her chest.
I suppose that is what it's like to be a fool among gods,
she said softly, almost unwillingly. Daenerys raised an eyebrow, a faint smile tugging at the corner of her lips.
You might be a fool, but fools survive if they learn quickly.
I survive,
Cersi said, and there was no humor in it.
Always. but I feel smaller here than I ever have before.
Daenerys glanced at her, sensing the unspoken acknowledgement. Cersi reconciling her lessons with Jaime, Jon, Galadriel. The queen who had ruled through fear was beginning to understand, reluctantly, the fragility of life beyond the Red Keep. They reached the edge of a clearing, the trees opening to reveal a path snaking toward the mountains ahead. But the air shifted, colder now, tense, charged with something unseen. Shadows stretched unnaturally, and a low, vibrating hum ran through the ground.
Do you feel that?
Cersi whispered, her hand tightening on the hilt of an imaginary sword. Daenerys nodded, scanning the tree line.
Yes. Something moves. Something not. Like us.
Cersi's chest tightened. Fear, unfamiliar and sharp, pressed against her. She had fought battles, faced enemies, dragons, wildfire, but this was different. This was unknown.
I don't like being small,
she admitted.
Nor do I. But we have no choice. We rely on each other now, whether we like it or not.
Cersi hesitated, then let the words settle in her mind. She had never admitted dependence, even quietly. Here, the world demanded it.
Fine,
she said finally.
For now, we work together. But don't think this makes me your ally.
Daenerys tilted her head, a faint, almost imperceptible smirk forming. I wouldn't dream of it, but for now it keeps us alive. The two women advanced into the clearing, side by side, their steps cautious, their eyes alert. Every decision, every movement carried consequences they could not yet fully understand. Above them, the mists thickened, the forest watching, and in the distance, a faint light flickered. White, calm, and knowing, hinting at Gandalf's presence somewhere beyond, guiding but never interfering. Cersi felt it in her chest, that uneasy, strange acknowledgement of smallness, history, and power. She glanced at Daenerys and, for the first time since arriving, saw another woman who could carry the weight of choices without collapsing. She didn't trust her, but she could rely on her. For now, the forest exhaled around them. The path ahead waited. And for the first time, Cersi realized that survival in this world would not be about crowns or armies. It would be about choices, consequences, and working with someone she could never truly command. The mist grew thicker, wrapping around the trunks of ancient trees like living smoke. Cersi and Daenerys moved cautiously, each step measured, each breath shallow. The forest floor was uneven, slick with moss, roots threatening to trip the unwary. Sounds, almost imperceptible, shifted. A snapping twig, a low growl, a distant echo that seemed too deliberate to be the wind. Cersi's hand went to her hip, gripping where a sword would be in her world. She realized, with a sharp bite of panic, that her weapons were useless here. The familiar rules of survival had no hold.
This forest, it doesn't obey anything I know.
No. It moves differently. You can't fight it with strength alone.
They paused. Across the clearing, a shadow shifted, deep, liquid, impossibly large. It moved without sound, yet the earth beneath it seemed to tremble. The air turned cold, and even the mist recoiled, curling unnaturally around its form. Cersi felt her pulse spike. Fear clawed at her chest. She had faced wildfire, betrayal, even dragons, but this was not something to dominate. It was something to survive, to endure. Cersi, voice tight, low.
Do you see that?
Daenerys nodded, hand moving instinctively toward the side of her body, as though she could summon fire from this alien air. She exhaled slowly, forcing herself calm.
Yes. Stay close. We move together.
The shadow stepped forward, revealing its form. A massive, hunched creature, more darkness than flesh, eyes glowing faintly like molten coals. Its movement was deliberate, intelligent, and predatory. Cersi froze. Cersi to herself.
I am small. I am small. I am... Nothing if I cannot act.
The creature's gaze swept over them. Its roar was not sound, it was vibration, seeping into her bones, rattling her thoughts, reminding her of everything fragile in this world. Daenerys steadying her voice.
Cersi, listen to me. We do this together. You follow me. One step at a time.
Cersi forced herself to nod. Pride bristled, screaming that she should lead, that she should command. But the truth was inescapable. Here, she could not command anything alone. They moved forward silently, feet careful on the wet moss. The creature followed, its presence pressing in from all sides. Each movement was a decision with stakes neither had ever faced. One wrong step, and they would die, without armies, without crowns, without leverage. A narrow ravine appeared ahead. A small bridge slick with frost and moss was the only crossing.
We cross there. I go first.
No. We cross together, or one of us dies.
Cersi hesitated, glancing at Daenerys. The memory of Galadriel's warning, Jaime and Jon's counsel, pressed against her mind. Pride could kill you here. Cersi reluctantly.
Together, then.
They stepped onto the bridge side by side. Every board creaked under their weight. Below, the chasm yawned black, infinite. The shadowed creature hesitated, snarling, and then advanced, its eyes glowing brighter. Suddenly, a tree above them cracked, and a smaller creature, a twisted quick thing, darted across the bridge ahead of them. Daenerys reacted instinctively, swinging her arm, knocking it off balance. It shrieked and fell into the abyss below. Cersi flinched, heart hammering, realizing how close they had come to death. Cersi, voice trembling, almost a whisper.
I could lose everything here.
Daenerys looked at her fierce and resolute.
You will lose if we don't act together. Trust me. Watch me. Learn from me.
The words were blunt, almost a command, but Cersi obeyed, following Daenerys' lead as the creature lunged. They ducked, sidestepped, and crossed the bridge. Behind them, the shadow roared and retreated into the forest, leaving a silence heavier than any war she had endured. Cersi's chest heaved. Her pride still bristled, but something shifted, an understanding of shared responsibility and fear as a teacher. Cersi quietly to Daenerys.
You are not what I thought you were. You survive differently than I do.
Daenerys half smiling, tension in her shoulders.
And you learn faster than you let on.
They paused at the far side of the bridge, soaked in mist, hearts still pounding, eyes wary. Cersi glanced down at the chasm below and swallowed the lump of fear rising in her throat. Cersi murmuring.
Jaime, Jon, Galadriel. They warned me. But I understand now, more than I did before. Survival. It is never alone.
Daenerys nodded silently. The moment of fragile trust was forged not in words, but in shared terror, mutual reliance, and the weight of unknown consequences. Above them, faint light glimmered through the mist, Gandalf's presence just beyond perception, watching, guiding, but never interfering. The forest exhaled. The path ahead waited. And for the first time, both queens knew their choices here would shape not only their survival, but the survival of those they could not yet see. The forest ended abruptly, giving way to a yawning chasm. Darkness pooled at the bottom, and above it, cliffs twisted impossibly skyward, jagged and black. Mist clung to the edges, hiding forms that moved with predatory grace. Cersi and Daenerys paused, breath visible in the cold air. Every instinct screamed turn back, but the path they had been forced down left no retreat. They had followed Gandalf's subtle guidance this far, but now it seemed almost a cruel joke. Cersi whispering.
This is the edge. The end.
Daenerys, voice tight, measured.
There is no edge here. Only survival. If it exists.
From the darkness below, a low, rumbling growl rose. The air vibrated with it. Cersi's pulse raced. Cersi to herself sharp inhale.
All I've learned. Every lesson Galadriel showed me, every word Jamie and Jon spoke. It doesn't matter here.
A massive form emerged from the black, Shelob. 8 spindly legs, eyes glimmering red in the shadow, mandibles opening with a metallic click that echoed like bones breaking. The air reeked of decay and death. Cersi froze. She had fought dragons, she had faced wildfire, but this was primal fear incarnate. Daenerys whispering,
"We have to move. Together."
They ran, stumbling across slick stone, the creature pursuing them. The chasm below yawned, a black abyss. Their hearts pounded like war drums. Every instinct screamed fight, flee, survive. But here, they realized they could do neither alone. The creature lashed and a shadow fell across the path. Cersi shrieked as the brush tore her cloak. Daenerys leapt to push her aside, nearly losing her footing. Every second counted, every hesitation could mean death. Cersi panting, voice raw.
I can't.
Daenerys grabbing her arm.
"Yes, you can. Hold on."
They reached a narrow ledge along the cliff. Behind them, Shelob's limbs scraped the stone. Ahead, the chasm seemed infinite. Hope had died before it had even been born. And then, at the moment, they were sure the end had come. Light fractured the darkness. Galadriel appeared, radiant yet terrible, a luminous blade of silver and green in her hand. Her presence alone shifted the air, bending shadows back like smoke. Shelob shrieked and lunged, but Galadriel moved with impossible grace, her power bending reality. Threads of light struck the creature, forcing it back. With a final heart-stopping cry, she drove Shelob away into the abyss, the creature vanishing with a scream that shook the cliffs. Cersi and Daenerys collapsed against the stone, gasping, drenched in cold sweat, hearts hammering like drums of war. Cersi, voice shaking, incredulous.
She just...
Daenerys, breathless, awestruck.
"She stopped it. I can't believe it. None of what we know could have."
Galadriel looked at them both, calm, stern, almost maternal in her presence.
"You are alive because you are not alone. Not because you are the strongest, but because you are willing, if only for a moment, to trust."
Cersi swallowed, trembling. Pride, fear, and awe warred in her chest. Cersi quietly, almost to herself.
I see it. Now, I am smaller than I thought. I have to be more than I am, or I die.
Daenerys exhaled slowly, finally letting the tension drain from her shoulders.
"And yet, we survived. Together."
From the misted path above, a light footfall and quiet voice. Aragorn.
You are fortunate. Few would have survived Shelob's shadow alone.
Legolas appeared beside him, bow slung across his back, eyes scanning the forest.
"And yet you did not. The forest does not forgive carelessness, and you are alive because of another."
Cersi's chest tightened. She had fought kings, queens, dragons, wildfire, and nothing humbled her like this foreign power protecting her from death. Cersi, voice low, grudging.
"I owe my life, in some measure, to her. And to him, whoever you are."
Aragorn nodded respectfully, studying the two women.
The world is full of things far older than kingdoms. You have stepped into them and survived.
Daenerys looked at them both, face still flushed from the encounter, yet resolved. "We are not here to conquer, but to endure, to act, together, for now." Legolas inclined his head, silently acknowledging their resolve.
"Then you walk with us and learn. This land has little patience for those who cling to pride alone."
Cersi exhaled, shoulders tightening. But some ice of her pride cracked just enough to allow understanding. She must listen, act, and survive, side by side with a rival, and under the guidance of forces far beyond her comprehension. The forest exhaled around them, darkness receding slightly, yet leaving shadows lingering, a constant reminder nothing here can be taken for granted. The forest opened into a narrow valley, thick with mist and low-hanging branches. Water trickled over rocks into a small pool at the centre. Legolas moved silently ahead, bow ready. Aragorn followed close, scanning the shadows. Cersi and Daenerys fell into step behind them, alert but tense.
This valley is not natural. Something has been here, shaping the land. Watch closely.
Aragorn's eyes narrowed.
There are others, and they are trapped. We do not know what waits beyond this light.
We can't leave them there.
Cersi turned to her, measured.
And if we go to them without planning, all of us die. You saw what waited in the dark. I lead, you follow. We survive first, then decide.
At the far side of the bridge, they found a small group of trapped villagers. Elves and humans caught in shadowy tendrils of rock and smoke. Some were injured, others terrified, unable to move. The Balrog's retreat had left the terrain unstable. Cersi scanned the situation, calculating.
We can only take some. The rest will be trapped if we delay. We must move fast.
Daenerys' eyes widened.
And leave the others.
Cersi shook her head, frustration and fear mingling.
No, we try first, but time is not ours to command. We cannot save everyone here.
Daenerys drew herself up, determination setting her features.
Then I lead the rescue. We split. You and Aragorn cover the safest path. I take the others. Legolas, with me.
Cersi hesitated, aware that dividing their group was dangerous, but she trusted Daenerys' decisiveness.
Be precise. Every second counts.
The groups moved, each queen alternating between leadership and support naturally. When Daenerys' path was blocked by fallen stone, Cersi took initiative, clearing the way. When Cersi's route was threatened by smoke and heat, Daenerys took the lead, guiding her past unseen danger. When the rescue ended, the group reconvened. Several lives had been saved. Some had been lost. The shadow of failure hung in the air, heavy and real. Neither queen smiled. Neither claimed victory. Cersi turned to Daenerys, voice quiet.
You acted decisively. I could not have moved them all without you.
Daenerys' voice was calm, reflective.
And I could not have done this without your quick thinking. Your instincts saved more than I realized.
There was no warmth, no easy camaraderie, only recognition of mutual dependence forged in real danger. Aragorn stepped forward, eyes steady.
You both made choices under impossible conditions. Few could have done as you did. Yet remember, this world does not forgive hesitation for long.
Legolas's voice was quiet but firm.
And yet, seeing how you shift between leading and supporting, I see adaptability. That will serve you well.
Galadriel's voice resonated faintly from above, unseen but present.
Trust, strategy, and courage are tested here beyond any throne or crown. Learn this now, and your path may yet continue. Fail, and the consequences are absolute.
Cersi exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of survival but also the strange acknowledgement that leadership is never fixed, and even a queen must adapt. Daenerys met her gaze briefly, firm and unflinching.
We'll need each other, in ways neither of us imagined.
Cersi inclined her head slightly, a small silent admission.
For now. Not friend, not rival. Simply necessary.
The path forward remained uncertain, shadowed, and dangerous. But one truth crystallized. In this world, survival is earned through adaptability, courage, and mutual reliance, not power or pride alone. The gorge opened into a cavernous expanse, blackened stone towering above them. The heat was oppressive. The faint scent of brimstone stung the throat. Sparks flickered across walls scarred by ancient fire. Cersi and Daenerys paused, instinctively scanning the shadows. They knew what could be here, stories of shadow and flame, whispered by Jaime and Jon, reinforced by Galadriel's warnings. And now there it was, a Balrog, larger and more terrifying than memory or imagination could hold. Its eyes glowed like molten metal, and wings stretched wide, black smoke coiling around its form. Aragorn and Legolas positioned themselves immediately, Aragorn moving to flank, while Legolas readied arrows that glimmered faintly with elven magic. Cersi voiced steady, almost a whisper.
It's real. Jaime's words, Jon's warning. Nothing prepares you for this.
Daenerys, eyes narrow, hands clenched at her sides.
Then we act. Together. Whatever it takes.
The Balrog's roar shook the cavern. Flames flickered in its path, shadows coiling unnaturally. Cersi and Daenerys exchanged a glance, neither leading now, both ready to respond, both aware that one misstep would mean death. The Balrog surged forward, crushing the stone floor where Aragorn had been poised. Legolas released arrow after arrow, but the creature deflected them with a whip of shadow and flame. The cavern floor began to crumble, and the path forward collapsed into a fiery abyss. Cersi calculated instantly they could not both escape this path. One had to risk herself to allow the other to survive. Cersi, breath hard, voice low.
Daenerys, I will hold it. You run. Now?
Daenerys' eyes widened, but she shook her head.
No. I can do this.
You lead us out, yes, but this path, this moment, my choice. Trust me, or we both die.
Daenerys hesitated, realizing that leadership and sacrifice were separate here. She saw the resolve in Cersi's eyes, the same clarity she had displayed on the bridge, now magnified by impending death. Daenerys quietly,
I trust you.
Cersi stepped forward, placing herself directly in the Balrog's path. Fire licked her armor, heat searing the air. She moved deliberately, baiting the creature, giving Daenerys the path across the shattered cavern. Daenerys sprinted across the debris, eyes fixed on the exit that Aragorn had cleared for her. Behind her, Cersi dodged and struck where possible, every movement calculated to delay, not to destroy. The Balrog roared, towering over her, and for a terrifying moment death seemed inevitable. Legolas and Aragorn provided cover where possible, arrows and sword strikes grazing the creature, buying seconds. The cavern trembled under each step, rocks falling into the abyss. Finally, Daenerys reached the edge, the exit secured. She turned, eyes wide, and saw Cersi surrounded by shadows and flame. Every instinct screamed to go back, but Cersi had already begun the final maneuver, a dive into a fissure that redirected the Balrog's path temporarily, giving herself a window to escape, a calculated, selfless act. Galadriel's light appeared then, sudden and blinding. Threads of silver and green coiled around the Balrog, striking it back and shattering the shadows long enough for Aragorn and Legolas to pull Cersi free. Cersi fell into Daenerys' arms as they reached safety, exhausted, charred, trembling, alive, but shaken. Daenerys, breathless, voice raw.
You did it. You saved me.
Cersi, bloodied and bruised but alive, allowed herself a rare, fleeting moment of vulnerability.
I had to. You lead better than I expected. Without that, I wouldn't have done what was needed.
Daenerys looked at her, realizations settling. Leadership was fluid, and survival demanded both initiative and trust from both of them. The cavern dissolved into a soft light, the air shifting as if the world itself exhaled. They found themselves on the familiar grounds of Rivendell, fully healed, the trauma of the Balrog encounter preserved in memory but no longer in wounds. Elrond observed them quietly, his gaze calm but piercing.
You have faced forces beyond reckoning, and yet you live. That is testament not to power alone, but to cooperation, judgment, and courage.
Cersi's voice, steady but softer than usual, admitted something private.
We were both tested. Not all moments could be led by one of us. Sometimes one leads, sometimes the other. Sometimes you must act when the world demands it, even at cost.
Daenerys nodded, eyes unguarded for the first time.
I learned that. And I respect what you did. I cannot say I understand all of it, but I will not forget it.
Elrond inclined his head.
The lessons here are real, and the consequence is eternal. Remember them, and carry the wisdom forward to your world.
With Elrond's guidance and Gandalf's unseen hand, both queens were sent back to Westeros, alive, fully healed, minds heavy with memory, and their dynamic forever altered. Cersi now understood vulnerability could be a form of strength, and Daenerys realized initiative and courage were not diminished by reliance on another. Their relationship was neither simple friendship nor rivalry. It was a mutual, unspoken acknowledgement, forged in survival and impossible choice. The throne, the crown, and the world they had returned to were no longer the only measure of power. They had seen the immensity of history, the cost of survival, and the necessity of shared resolve. The Red Keep was quieter than usual, shadows long in the late afternoon sun. Cersi paced slowly in the solar, her hands clasped behind her back, every movement measured. She had returned from the other world, scarred in ways the court could not see. Yet, the weight of leadership, of her survival, pressed down as always. Jaime entered, golden hair falling into his eyes, his movements cautious, tempered by the experiences he and Jon had shared in Middle-earth. Jon followed close behind, stoic but tired, bearing the quiet intensity of someone who had seen impossible things and survived. Cersi stopped pacing, her gaze locking on Jaime first, then Jon. Cersi, cool, deliberate.
You both returned. Intact, I see. Tell me, then. What has been done? What did you see?
Jaime's lips pressed together. He studied her, noting the subtle changes in her posture, her restraint.
We saw more than any story could carry. Shadows that moved like fire. Creatures beyond any reckoning. Jon kept me alive more than once.
Jon's expression did not soften. He added,
It was a world older and colder than any we know. Decisions there carry weight far beyond a crown or sword. Survival isn't about fighting. It's about acting when there is no right choice.
Cersi let this sink in. Her thoughts turned to her own survival alongside Daenerys, the fluid leadership, the moments of vulnerability, and the calculated sacrifices. Cersi quiet, reflective.
And yet, here we are. Alive. You saw shadows and fire, and still you returned.
Her voice faltered briefly, a rare crack in her armor of certainty.
I understand more than I did before. Leadership is not always taking the first step. Sometimes it's knowing when to follow, when to trust, when to act, and when to sacrifice.
Jaime's eyes softened slightly. He sensed that this was not a lecture or a manipulation. She was changed, not broken, but tempered.
Then you know, as Jon and I learned, that stories do not prepare you. Experience does.
Jon nodded.
We made choices there that have no precedent here. And you faced your own trials and returned. Tell me, what did it demand of you?
Cersi paused, choosing words with precision.
It demanded clarity, courage, and an acceptance that survival is not about who commands, but who acts when action is all that remains. Daenerys and I, we learned that differently, yet together. And I survived because I had to. And because I trusted her, as much as one can trust someone not of one's world.
Jaime shifted uncomfortably.
You trusted her? Not for a fight, not for the throne, but to survive?
Cersi's lips curved slightly, but there was no warmth in the smile.
Exactly. Not friend, not rival, simply necessary. That is a truth your journeys may not prepare you for.
Jon's gaze flicked toward the window, distant, reflective.
We learned that too, in our own way. Decisions with consequences we could never undo. Sacrifices that must be remembered.
Silence hung for a moment, weighty and deliberate. Then Jaime spoke softly.
And yet we return to the Red Keep, where consequences are measured in gold and whispers, not survival. What do we do with all we've learned?
Cersi's gaze was steady, sharp.
We act. With the knowledge we have now. We wield power differently, because the world outside teaches humility and danger in ways Westeros cannot. Remember that.
Jon met her eyes briefly.
We remember, and we will act. Not recklessly, not blindly.
Cersi allowed a pause, her hands clasped behind her, absorbing the weight of what they all shared. She did not soften, not truly, but there was acknowledgement. They were changed, all of them, by a world that demanded more than any throne or title could. Cersi, finally resolute.
Then tell me what you learned, so we may act with eyes open and hearts not nave, at least.
And with that, Jaime and Jon began to recount their journey in full. The shadows, the impossible creatures, the moral weight of their choices. Not stories to impress or frighten, but truths forged in survival. Cersi listened, absorbing, weighing, understanding. Not a queen softened, not a rival humbled, but a leader recalibrated by reality, aware of what is necessary and the cost it demands. The sun had fallen low, casting long shadows across the Red Keep's courtyard. A distant wind whispered through the towers, carrying the faint scent of wildfire. Cersi sat alone in her solar, staring at maps and scrolls, her mind replaying the cavern, the Balrog, and the bridge where leadership had shifted unpredictably between her and Daenerys. The sound of wings cut through the air. Daenerys landed softly, her dragon's shadow disappearing into the evening. She approached the solar, footsteps deliberate but careful. Not as a visitor, but as someone who had survived alongside Cersi in a world neither fully understood. Daenerys quietly closing the door behind her.
We need to talk. Alone. About what happened, and what it means now.
Cersi didn't rise immediately. Her hands remained folded behind her back, the faintest trace of tension in her posture.
You speak as if survival changed everything. But here, the rules are still the same. Thrones, whispers, war. What exactly do you propose we discuss?
Daenerys stepped closer, eyes firm but not confrontational.
How we navigate it. Not just the Red Keep, but the choices we make. The people we protect, the people we lose. Everything we saw, everything we survived together. It changes the calculus of power. It changes how we act.
Cersi's lips pressed together. She studied Daenerys, weighing the honesty in her voice, noting the subtle shifts, the moments where the Dragon Queen had been decisive, where she had faltered, where Cersi herself had led or followed. Cersi slowly. And you believe we can apply that here, in Westeros? Not everyone dies like they did in that cavern. Some die because we fail them politically, not physically. Daenerys' gaze hardened, tinged with frustration and understanding.
I know. And that is exactly why we need clarity. We cannot act recklessly. We cannot rely on luck. We have the memory of impossible survival to guide us. But this world, it will not wait for lessons learned. We must choose wisely.
Cersi exhaled slowly, allowing a rare moment of vulnerability to show.
Then we lead differently. Not friends, not rivals, but necessary. And we survive differently, too.
The room shimmered with a sudden, almost imperceptible light. Galadriel's presence manifested. Not forceful, but luminous, a soft hum of power and history. Both queens instinctively straightened, awe and caution mingling in their expressions.
You have returned carrying what few can understand. The choices you made, the lives you spared and lost, they mark you. And they mark the world you return to.
Cersi's voice was steady, though tinged with curiosity.
And what would you have us do? We survived, yes, but this world, Westeros, has its own rules. Thrones and wars do not bend for lessons from another world.
Galadriel's eyes glimmered with ancient patience.
No world bends for wisdom alone. But understanding the scale of what you endured, the impossible, the unfathomable, allows you to act with clarity. To discern danger not just from power, but from consequence. To see the paths unseen by those who cling to ambition.
Daenerys leaned forward, voice quiet but insistent.
We cannot ignore what we learned. Not if we intend to rule. Not if we intend to survive here. But Galadriel, how do we balance what we learned there with the brutality of this world?
Balance is not the goal. Adaptation is. One does not carry Middle-earth into Westeros, nor Westeros into Middle-earth. One carries the understanding of fear, choice, and trust. Let that guide you, rather than titles, rather than pride.
Cersi exhaled, her usual composure softening imperceptibly.
Then we walk forward with eyes open. Not friends, not enemies, but aligned where survival demands it.
Daenerys studied her, noting the subtle shift, respect, tempered caution, acknowledgement of shared experience without surrendering dominance.
Aligned. For now.
Galadriel's presence began to fade, leaving a residual glow in the room, a reminder of the immense history and stakes beyond any throne or crown. Cersi turned toward Daenerys quietly but firmly.
We are changed. That is undeniable. And now, we use that change, or we fail.
Daenerys' eyes met hers, unwavering.
Then we act with it. Together, or as necessary. And we survive. Again.
The two queens sat in silence, the room heavy with reflection, strategy, and the weight of experience. An understanding forged in impossible circumstances, unspoken but absolute.